Good morning, guys. This is Seacoast Strong Brew, and today I want to talk about myths and busting some myths. And I think my favorite one to bust and one of the most popular beliefs is believing that we can train in a certain style that tones muscle, or this idea or concept of toning and being toned and creating the tone look or whatever. So what is that? Because I can't disagree that I think we understand now that it is a certain look that is, people are after, it's attractive and whatnot. But the word toning is a marketing term. It's not a real world in the anatomy and physiology or the exercise physiology or exercise science. It is nowhere, it does not exist in any of the literature of my certifications or my degree or anything like that. It's really just a term that was created and defined by a certain look that I think people desire. And that's understandable. So from that point of view, I get the use of the word toned. But the way of getting it, I think people are a little confused of. So if we're kind of looking at tone being this lean, I've heard of long and tightened and all this kind of like other bullshit. What is really happening though is just it is a lack of body fat over a muscle. Thus, less jiggle, the appearance of being tighter, and you're more defined. I guess that's what toning would be. But there is no specific way of training that makes you toned, specifically over other styles of training. There is no training to be toned. There's no exercises that tone you. There's none of that's all bullshit. Exercise for whether you're building muscle, trying to burn fat, increase your aerobic capacity, your conditioning, whatever. All exercise is a stress they are putting on the body, trying to achieve a certain stimulus and change, which the body then has to adapt to. And in that recovery process, your body changes to adapt to whatever that stress was. Ideally, you're improving at it. So we're talking about hypertrophy, muscle fiber enlargement, or we're increasing our aerobic capacity, or whatever it is that you're after, even getting stronger. So your ability to produce more force in a certain direction or lift or whatever. So if we're trying to appear toned, really the best thing you can do, like always, is to create some form of caloric deficit. Because if we remove the fat on top of muscle, you will look toned. So to look toned, you're probably better off really dialing in your nutrition than aiming at any form of training. And really, if you want the training that is probably the most ideal for burning fat, which would be a style that would increase your metabolism over time, is some type of strength training that's also going to build muscle, and you're going to utilize progressive overload over time. We know that your basal metabolic rate is going to increase the more muscle mass that you carry. Ironically, everyone thinks that they're going to get the opposite of tone and they're going to get bulky, which is really just also bullshit. We could touch on that. If you're bulky, it probably just means that you do have a decent amount of muscle mass with fat over it. If you were to lose the fat on top of it, you would, boom, look toned. To be honest, muscle is very hard to grow. And if you're not a male that is between the ages of like 12 and say 20, late 20s, it's really hard to grow because your testosterone is now going down, and we need a lot of testosterone to grow a large amount of muscle. Can you still do it at any age? Yeah, I think you can do it at any age. You would need also the nutrition to back it up. So you'd be in some type of caloric surplus with a high amount of protein to support the rebuilding of the muscle, along with intense training and training with high volume and putting muscles under a lot of time under tension, which is one of the formulas of building muscle mass. So to kind of wrap this all up, if you want to be toned, you have to probably lose body fat on top of the muscle. And then from there, it would also probably help to combine that with good nutrition, reducing the amount of calories, and training in a way that's going to increase your basal metabolic rate and build some type of muscle that you'll have underneath that fat. And that would be through somewhat intense strength training, moving heavy weights, training with enough volume to create a stimulus in which your muscles would have to rebuild. Also, before I go, you cannot switch tissues. So I've heard kind of this before. Muscle does not turn into fat and fat does not turn into muscle. They're two completely separate things. That's why I talk about it has to be a combined effort where you have muscle underneath the fat. You have to train the muscle, you have to go into some type of caloric deficit to remove the fat, and boom, you've now achieved this bullshit tone term, okay? I usually like to think of it as training is for fitness, not fatness. So if you're really after reducing body fat, that's better done creating a caloric deficit with your nutrition and diet. Exercising is really they're best for getting stronger, getting quicker, improving your conditioning, aerobic capacity, all these measurables of fitness, not fatness. Do they help? Sure. But I think you'll always get further attacking it from a nutritional point of view. That's it. Myth busted. See ya.